Sparks Hacked Off Chief Executive, and I'm with Emma Jones, Hacked Off Board Director, who's been on court all day today. Emma, by this time we expected the trial to be 6 hours in, and yet there's been no progress at all. Can you tell us what's happened?
Yeah, it's been a day of the fog of war, really. It's been a German after a German and a very cross-looking judge who didn't want to agree, certainly to the last adjournment. So we've found ourselves in a situation where both sides have had to go to the Court of Appeal to ask for extra time in order to keep this going overnight. Of course, the judge at the Court of Appeal could equally say that's not going to happen, but it doesn't matter. The objective will have been achieved, which is to have more time, because these talks seem to be underway and it's just a matter of finding an agreement.
Do we have any idea what they're discussing?
I think they're discussing money and the wording around. A substantial sum's been mentioned in court twice, which we don't know what that sum is, but a huge amount of money going to be passing the hands, so to speak. But I think the other thing they're going to want is some sort of admission, some sort of form of words that implicates NGN and an admission in a way of what went on. I think Harry's not going to take it lying down. He doesn't want to just walk away from this with an apology. He wants something tangible that he can say, well, you know, I at least have this. I proved my point.
So for over a decade, NGN have said there was no cover-up. They said there was no illegality at the Sun newspaper. It would be humiliating for them to now have to admit that actually there was.
Oh, it's absolutely mortifying. I mean, to make any sort of admission at this point, after paying out 1.2 billion, the estimated figure is, to people to effectively stop any of this becoming public, to then get to this point where they're, you know, having to make an admission, it's devastating, because this goes to the highest level as well. But of course, if all these claims were heard in court, it would be even worse. This is implicating people like Rebecca Brooks, the Murdoch family themselves, Will Lewis. You know, it goes to the very top, and that's why I think we're seeing this scramble right now. Nobody wants this to be aired.
Well, I don't think we expect any more news tonight, but we'll be back at court again tomorrow and be keeping all our social media updated with the latest developments.
Yeah, a huge day, Tom, and I suspect he'll be celebrating in Montecito this morning, and it is pretty historic, actually, because it is the first time ever in all the litigation the Sun has been involved with that they have admitted any kind of liability for their use of private investigators to carry out unlawful information gathering activities. They still deny at the Sun phone hacking took place. Now, News Group newspapers, as you said, offered Prince Harry and Lord Watson an unequivocal apology to the two of them. They also apologised for the intrusion into both Prince Harry's private life and that of his late mother Diana, Princess of Wales. Prince William's office is not commenting on that specific part of the statement read out outside court earlier on today. But News Group newspapers also apologised for the damage inflicted on Prince Harry's relationships, friendships and family. Remember, last year Prince Harry said on camera that the part of the damage of his relationships with his family was to do with this constant pursuit of different newspaper tabloids in the United Kingdom. But David Sherborne, his lawyer, continued. He said that Rupert Murdoch's, and I quote, UK media empire has engaged in illegal practices after endless resistance, denials and legal battles, including spending more than £1 billion in payouts and legal costs to prevent the full picture from coming out. They said, his lawyer said, that News Group newspapers have a blatant disregard for the law, and that executives deliberately have hit back this afternoon, denying those allegations. But David Sherborne, Prince Harry's lawyer, went on. Let's take a listen.
Many of those behind these unlawful practices remain firmly entrenched in senior positions today, both within News UK and other media outlets across the world, wielding editorial power and perpetuating the toxic culture in which they continue to thrive. It's perhaps no surprise that all of their senior executives and editors refused to turn up to court to give evidence. The failure of each of these key individuals to come and answer questions under oath spoke volumes in itself, but their collective silence is deafening. Today's result has been achieved only through the sheer resilience of Prince Harry and Tom Watson, whose willingness to take News Group newspapers to trial has led directly to this historic admission of unlawfulness at the Sun.
Now, News Group newspapers say if the trial did go ahead, then they would have been strongly challenging these claims and also would be bringing in experts to try and convince the judge that they are in the right here in terms of the trial that was going to be going on. Tom Watson, he praised Prince Harry for, and I quote, his bravery on behalf of all the victims of unlawful information gathering, and says he is going to be sending a dossier to the Metropolitan Police to launch criminal investigations. The Metropolitan Police says no documents have been received yet, no active criminal investigations are ongoing, but they of course will respond to any correspondence as and when they get it. But they did say something very similar when Harry won his case against the Mirror back in 2023, where Prince Harry called on criminal investigations to be launched. Nothing has happened with that in the 2 years since, so I would say watch this space and be cautious on that one. Both Harry and Tom Watson have also called on the Prime Minister to act.
We have some breaking news on Prince Harry's case against the owner and publisher of The Sun, Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers. And, of course, there's been debate in the last couple of days as to whether, in fact, the trial will go ahead or whether he'd settle. Well, breaking news, Prince Harry has settled his privacy lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers on the first day of the trial. Let's bring you a little bit more on this. Of course, this case was against News Group newspapers. It was over allegations of unlawful information gathering, and his barrister David Sherborne has just said that he has settled his High Court claim against News Group. This was a claim, of course, that he'd pursued against other publishers in the past, and it was a claim that previously included many other claimants alongside him, but by the time it came to court, which was due to start yesterday, got delayed until today. It was just down to him and Tom Watson, Lord Watson, but clearly in the last couple of moments his barrister David Sherborne has confirmed that the Duke of Sussex has settled. Let's see if there's anything more that's coming across on this. His lawyers saying that the High Court, in the High Court, that he will read an apology from News Group newspapers. So it sounds like there's been some kind of apology agreed as part of this settlement, and that that apology will involve an apology for intrusion into Princess Diana's private life. It sounds like Prince Harry secured that as part of this settlement, and he will receive payment of substantial damages as part of this agreement. Just seeing what else is coming across in this. Well, also, the apology that will come from News Group newspapers will include an apology to Tom Watson, to Lord Watson, for placing him under surveillance, we're reading here. And this, of course, all comes with that breaking news that I mentioned just a few moments ago, that Prince Harry, on the first day of the trial that was delayed by 24 hours, has decided to settle his case against Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers. Of course, this was a case that he brought for invasion of privacy. It was a case he brought originally alongside many other claimants. By the time we got to this week, it was whittled down to just him and Tom Watson, Lord Watson, the former Labour deputy leader, and of course did end up seeing the case delayed. Talk over the last 24 hours was because that was potentially due to a settlement being discussed, despite many promises in the last year or so that this would be something that Prince Harry pursued right to the end and that he wanted his day in court. That's not the case. He settled his privacy lawsuit against the Murdoch-owned News Group newspapers on this first day of the trial. It's going to include an apology, and his barrister David Sherborne has said that will be read out in office, and that it also will see an apology to the fact that Princess Diana's privacy was invaded.
After years of denial, today the Murdoch family's News Group newspapers admitted private investigators they hired did break the law. They apologised to Prince Harry for serious intrusion into his private life. Could criminal proceedings now follow? Now, the owners of The Sun, Rupert Murdoch's news group newspapers, admitted for the first time today that there was unlawful activity by private investigators hired by the paper in order to pry into the... They also apologised to Tom Watson, the former deputy leader of Labour, for unwarranted intrusion into his life. Today's acknowledgement of those unlawful activities comes 14 years after Rebecca Brooks said to a select committee and was asked by Tom Watson questions like, did you ever use private investigators at The Sun? She was, of course, the former editor of The Sun and the News of the World. The question was this: as a journalist and editor of News of the World and The Sun, how extensively did you work with private detectives? Her answer, on The Sun, not at all. She went on to explain that everyone had used private detectives, but in the 2000s, Fleet Street changed its ways and mostly stopped using them. And she added this.
I was then editor of The Sun, and I can say absolutely that the Sun is a very clean ship, a great newsroom.
I once said that the big beasts of the tabloid jungle have no predators. I was wrong. They have Prince Harry. His bravery and astonishing courage have brought accountability to a part of the media world that thought it was untouchable. I am sure I speak on behalf of the thousands of victims when I say we are grateful to him for his unwavering support and his determination under extraordinary pressure. If Rupert Murdoch had any decency, he should follow this corporate admission of guilt with a personal apology to Prince Harry, to his father our king, and to the countless others who suffered the same unlawful behaviour at the hands of his media empire. News Group newspapers owes so many such apologies. Thousands of ordinary people just trying to live their lives have endured the same unlawful behaviour.
Apology by News Group newspapers there offered to both Prince Harry and Lord Tom Watson, who we heard from himself speaking outside court earlier, and joined now outside the Royal Courts of Justice by Nathan Sparks, Chief Exec of Hacked Off, the group which has campaigned against press intrusion. Nathan, good to see you. A victorious day for Prince Harry and for Hacked Off.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's really extraordinary what we've had today, because 1,300 claims have been settled by News Group newspapers over the last over a decade. This litigation has gone on now, and they've paid out over £1 billion over that period settling these claims, all to maintain this argument that the Sun was not involved in illegal behaviour of any kind. And yet today, finally, they have admitted that actually all of that was untrue, that the Sun was involved in illegal activities.
And it was that admission that was key for the Duke of Sussex, wasn't it?
Absolutely critical. And News Group has relied on this to dodge accountability through independent press regulation, through the second stage of the Leveson inquiry. In response to all of those, to try and suppress all of that, they have repeatedly come back, and this is one of the things they've said: this was limited in our publisher to the News of the World, it didn't happen at the Sun, and now finally they've come out and admitted that it wasn't true. Illegal behaviour did occur at the Sun newspaper.
Is there an element of disappointment for you that this didn't go to a full-blown trial and evidence and witnesses called in court?
Well, a lot of the reason why a lot of us wanted to see a trial was to get these allegations out in the open and proven in court and avoid this situation where a settlement can stop them being heard. The fact that we've got this admission proves that it happened anyway. But there are still this wider issue around the cover-up and everything else. We now know there was a huge amount of illegality at The Sun, the News of the World, the Mirror, the People, all of these publishers. The Daily Mail is facing allegations, facing claims next year. All of these allegations, and we still haven't had the public inquiry. This is Leveson Part 2, that was promised to the public to get to the bottom of how this scandal infected so much of the media industry in the United Kingdom. So that's what we're focused on now.
Prince Harry, in his statement via David Sherborne, his barrister, said that this is a victory not just for him, but for the other claimants who were strong-armed into settlement. Tell us more about that.
So in the way the process works is that if you're made a big offer to settle your case, if you refuse that offer, you could be at risk for very significant court costs, even if you go on to win your case. So the whole system is set up to try and avoid claims from actually reaching trial. And as part of this process, News Group have made very big offers to other claimants while denying that any illegality happened at the Sun to stop those trials from progressing. And the Sun and the News Group has maintained this case. No illegal activity happened, but we are going to pay huge amounts of money to stop that from being explored in court. Today, the victory that Harry and Lord Watson have had really vindicates all of those claims that have been made, those 1,300 claims over the last 10 years, and shows that they were essentially lied to when they were told that unlawful activity never happened at the Sun.
This was a corporate apology by News Group newspapers. Are any individuals going to be held to account?
Well, News Group are clearly desperate to try and protect individuals from potential consequences, and this has been part of their strategy all along with these cases. But again, this underlines why the second part of the Leveson inquiry is so important. Only a public inquiry can ask those questions. We're now in a position where we know a huge amount of illegality happened, but we don't know who commissioned it, who was responsible. There are people who will have been responsible for these activities who will never be properly held to account unless we have that inquiry.
So what next for News Group newspapers and for Hackthoff?
Well, it's clearly News Group newspapers have been forced to make this admission today. A big part of their argument to try and stop the second stage of the Leveson inquiry from happening has fallen apart. It's now up to the government, actually. It's legislators. And for a long time, our legislators have been scared of Murdoch. They've been scared to act out against his publishers' interests. Today shows what happens when you align yourself with a publisher like that. They need to come forward with the second part of the Leveson inquiry so we can get to the bottom of this scandal once and for all.
I was really interested in what you were saying just a moment ago about the other will, the heir to the throne here, because, of course, the two brothers have been semi-estranged for a while. You said you thought the royal family should open the champagne for Harry after this. Is this the kind of moment perhaps his brother might look at him again and think, do you know what, not all bad?
I don't know. It should be. I think this could be a moment when, if William, I think it'd be a very big thing for William to do, to say, hey, good on you. You did it for us, you did it for our mother. But, William had made his own settlement quietly, which greatly irritated Harry. And I'm not sure how much William really likes this pivot in Harry's image, because I think at the moment, I think you will find, we will all find, or maybe you already know, that the man in the street says, good on you, Harry, for going to do this. And I'm not sure how much William adores Harry getting that kind of press.
I've never hacked a phone or told anybody else to hack a phone. And nobody has produced any actual evidence to prove that I did.
Journalists found out that if the celebrity hadn't changed their PIN code...
Yeah, you can access their voicemail.
You can access their voicemail just by tapping a number. Now, are you really telling me that journalists aren't going to do that?
Yeah.
If they know they can ring up Charlotte Church's mobile phone, listen to all her messages, right? Now, all you have to do, and I know it's hard because celebrities don't like doing anything for themselves, is actually change your security number.
Yeah, I've changed my security number.
And now you don't have to worry.
Of men and women who control almost all newspaper coverage, and from newspaper coverage comes so much of the public opinion. They've done all of this to create an atmosphere in which Prince Harry's calls for further investigation, Tom Watson's appeal to the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, will fall on deaf ears. It should, by rights, outrage and upset everyone. But if you live in a country where people are paid to write articles about how he hasn't won at all, then you know that the ecosystem is being primed, is being groomed, if you like. The population is being groomed to let this epic malfeasance and illegality, unlawfulness, to let it go. There are a number of reasons why the UK print media, why British newspapers, not the force they were, but still obviously powerful and influential, have gone after Prince Harry and his wife with, I would argue, unprecedented venom. The kind of vitriol and bile that would normally be reserved for child abusers and serial killers. The sheer scale of the coverage, the hyperbole, the hysteria, the utterly vicious reportage is born of more than one motive. The environment in which the Metropolitan Police is being asked to investigate or prosecute those people or to pursue those accusations further, the dossier that Tom Watson is poised to hand over to the Metropolitan Police, the ecosystem is the one in which Prince Harry is public enemy number one. So I say this cautiously and I say it pessimistically and I say it reluctantly. I don't think that there will be any further criminal investigation despite the fact that there has been an admission of law breaking. And the reason for that, well, I'm going to ask you, but the reason for that is, well, there are a few reasons for that. I don't know that you could persuade public opinion, if public opinion matters in this case, that this would be a correct prioritization of police forces.
You can only sue in this country against something that's denied or not admitted. That's the way the law works. If someone admits something, you don't have a cause of action. So once they've admitted what he called for, then it's them settling. It's not Prince Harry. He has conceded nothing. They are paying him damages, and they're paying his legal fees. Now, I'm not at liberty to say what the total cost of that is, but I see the BBC have said that it's an 8-figure sum, upwards of 10 million. Now, it wouldn't surprise me, and I've not seen it denied, but that's not Prince Harry backing down. It's not Prince Harry who's admitted anything. It's News Group newspapers, News UK, saying that the Sun engaged in criminal activity. Let's be clear about that. That's what unlawful activity means. It means blagging of medical records. It means obtaining phone bills. It means, in many cases, phone hacking, listening to voice messages. It means getting financial records. These are all gross intrusions of people's privacies done in secret. The key thing is,
and there's a distinction, sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Harris, there's a distinction, isn't there, in the words unlawful and illegal, because illegal refers to something that is expressly...
I think one of the hardest things to come to terms with is the fact that the people that chased her into the tunnel were the same people that were taking photographs of her while she was still dying on the back seat of the car. And William and I know that. We've been told that numerous times by people that know that was the case. She'd had quite a severe head injury, but she was very much still alive on the back seat. And those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, were taking photographs of her dying on the back seat. And then those photographs have made their way back to news desks.
Well, it gave everybody a wonderful new label. It's Diana's unstable and Diana's mentally imbalanced. And unfortunately, that seems to have stuck on and off over the years.
I would like to thank Lord Dyson and his team for the report. It is welcome that the BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full, which are extremely concerning. That BBC employees lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother, made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation that I remember from those final years with her.
I think paranoia it's a very interesting word because, yes, then it could be paranoia. But then when you're vindicated, it proves that you weren't being paranoid. You know, same with my mother. You know, there is evidence to suggest that she was being hacked in the mid-90s. Probably one of the first people to be hacked. And yet, still today, the press, the tabloid press, very much enjoy painting her as being paranoid. But she wasn't paranoid. She was absolutely right of what was happening to her. And she's not around today to find out the truth.
He called her paranoid. Not once, but twice. And when I say him, I mean Prince William. And as you can see the contrast between both clips, Harry didn't gaslight his mother. He made sure to honor her. And that's what Prince Harry's been doing this entire time. Because if you haven't noticed, how come the royal family, the palace, don't do enough to honor Diana? Have you ever noticed that? They don't have any type of memorial. They don't do anything. Unless Prince William and Harry's doing something, the palace don't do anything to honor Diana. For someone who meant so much to people and still means a lot to people today, You would think they would do a lot more to honor her memory, but they don't. It's just why it bothers me when I hear a lot of people say things like, why did Prince Harry always bring up his mother? Why shouldn't he? You guys have been talking about her for decades, making money off her memory and her legacy for decades.
I think we all now know that she was deceived into giving the interview, but at the same time, she spoke the truth of her experience. My mum was harassed throughout her life with my dad, but after they separated, the harassment went to new levels.
Everything changed after we separated, and life became very difficult then for me.
The moment that she divorced and the moment she left the institution, then she was by herself. Yes, she may well have been one of the most influential and powerful women in the world, but she was completely exposed to this.
It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation. It is my firm view that this Panorama programme holds no legitimacy and should never be aired again.
Impervious to this kind of evidence, Charles's office continued to undermine Diana's credibility.
Diana. Meanwhile, the spin doctors at the palace were saying that Charles was trying to help Diana through this very difficult period of time that she was having, and that all this fantasy that she was having about Camilla being Charles's mistress was subject with the problem of her illness and her bulimia. So they were all bad-mouthing her like mad.
The Daily Mirror, skirmishes became almost cat and mouse, with whole front pages devoted to stories the paper hadn't even published. And on one side at least, it all got pretty personal.
Mr. Morgan, why can't you simply leave Prince Harry alone?
We do leave Prince Harry alone. That's my fundamental point about this. We have left him alone the entire year, but they're now complaining about us, and I can't work it out.
The pressure was on Prince Charles's...
His phone was hacked by the News of the World. He received damages, and you were actually due to be cross-examined, I think, in this case.
Yes, on Monday.
Had it gone ahead.
On Monday I was meant to be on.
This is the first time the Sun has admitted unlawful activity, not of its journalists, but of private investigators it hired. How significant is that, do you believe?
Well, the first significance of it is simply that they have denied under oath, in a court case, under oath at the Leveson inquiry, and again publicly, that this ever happened. So they've finally admitted something which they have actually been lying about, and not just ordinarily lying, but lying under oath. Now, the real question now then becomes, was this ignorance? Were they totally incompetent? Or were they actually knowingly trying to mislead a court of law and a public inquiry? And if it's the latter, that's perjury. And if it's perjury, that in itself is a criminal offence. So somebody at News is in pretty hot water for that reason.
But Harry singled out one group of people in this country that has stood up for the couple.
Over 70 members of Parliament, female members of Parliament, called out the articles and headlines written about Meghan. Yet no one from my family ever said anything over those 3 years. That hurts.
This is the letter written to Meghan by female members of Parliament in 2019, taking aim at the outdated colonial undertones of some reporting and saying they share an understanding of the abuse and intimidation. Holly Lynch wrote the letter.
That we've got a responsibility to them. So it's not only about stepping in to try and protect the Duchess of Sussex, but to all those young women who'll be feeling utterly let down by the nature of those headlines and feeling powerless if they were in the same situation.
The executive director of the Society of Editors, a group that defends media freedom, said on Monday that the press here is, quote, not bigoted, and that it was not acceptable for the Duke and Duchess to make such claims without providing any supporting evidence. He's now resigned following a backlash from journalists. Anthony.
Holly Williams in London. Yeah, and this is something we've talked about here. Because,
Yes.
I mean, we don't see it in this country, obviously. It's the press over there. But she endured some really vicious attacks.
Well, I also think Meghan has plenty of receipts, meaning that she's been keeping track of things. And all you need to do is look at the headlines. We've been looking at them all year. It's one after the other. I can remember one that said, straight out of Compton, that her mother was from the wrong side of tracks with dreadlocks.
Remember the avocado incident?
Yes.
When Kate has avocado, she's doing it for the baby.
Yes.
When Meghan does, it's ruining the rainforest and global desecration.
Well, and saying that she's from gangster royalty. I mean, that's just...
There's definitely a difference in the coverage, so at least you have to acknowledge that. And I think that's part of the problem with them. No one ever acknowledges that this is happening. And now what I like is that there is a microscope on it. Everybody's paying attention to it.
I was struck,
draw your own conclusions.
I was struck at how politely the question was asked of Prince William this morning.
Is the royal family racist?
Is the royal family a racist family, sir?
Oh, yes. And he said it's very much not racist. Now, when you just play that clip, it sounds strange, but when you hear the question that he was asked, I think he wanted to emphasize, no, we are not racist.
Yeah. All right.
The thing that surprised me, no, it didn't surprise me, but it really saddened me, was just the immediate bitchy coverage of Harry and Meghan. I just couldn't bear it. And I don't really care what anyone thinks of Harry or Meghan, but I just think that it became the sort of centre point within 48 hours of whether she had walked the crowds, whether she was properly doing it, whether she was hugging people, whether the brothers could bear each other. And I just thought, if you respect the Queen in any sense at all, wouldn't you want her to feel that her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren were just being sort of looked after a little?
For all the impact Diana's death had on the nation and the royal family, none would feel it as deeply as her two young sons, Princes William and Harry. For them, the sense that the media had played a part in the tragedy was already palpable.
Tony Blair was talking to the Queen quite regularly, he was talking to Prince Charles, and we certainly picked up the sense that Prince William felt really angry about the press. And I can remember at one point Tony saying that one day he's going to be the king. We all know the press can be a complete screaming pain in the neck, but he's going to have some sort of understanding about that.
The princess said to me, would you talk to William and Harry? Because they're coming down for the funeral and I need you to prepare them. And so I remember saying to them, the reaction that you will see when you go down to London is because this country loves your mum so much. It is overwhelming.
They brought with them to Kensington Palace the steel and the strength many others will require in the coming hours.
Thank you so much.
If Diana's tragic death was a critical moment for the monarchy, it was also becoming critical for the press. As public anger towards the royal family turned to sympathy for the young princes, attention shifted decisively towards the role the press and media had played in their mother's death.
Every proprietor and editor of every publication that has paid for intrusive and exploitative photographs of her, encouraging greedy and ruthless individuals to risk everything in pursuit of Diana's image, has blood on his hands today. I always believed the press would kill her in the end.
I did feel some personal responsibility because I knew that I had helped to generate that frenzied climate.
It has to be said, this is absolutely extraordinary. We know that Prince Harry, as he said when he released his book Spare, he was making it his life's work to take on the mispractices of the tabloid press. This was going to be his day in court. This was going to be his opportunity to make news group newspapers, the publishers of The Sun and the News of the World, finally answer questions about the unlawful activities that he claimed were being carried out by reporters and private investigators in order order to obtain stories about him and so many other people. But what has happened today is that News Group newspapers have, in essence, given him the apology that he has wanted. This has never been about the money, as he has always said. Financially, he was always potentially set to lose out. They were offering him settlements clearly in the run-up to this trial. He was refusing them, but he knew that even if he won this case, even if he won damages, he could still potentially have lost out financially, because he would have had to pay his own costs and those of the opposition. But today, as I say, News Group newspapers have released what is this extraordinary apology. They offer a full and unequivocal apology to him for what they say was the serious intrusion by the Sun between 1996 and 2011 into his private life, including, they say, incidents of unlawful activities carried out by private investigators. They also go on to apologise for phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information by journalists and private investigators. What is also very striking is they apologise to the Duke for the impact on him of extensive coverage and serious intrusion into his private life, so not just focusing on specific articles he was due to bring up in this case, but also say intrusion into his private life as well as the private life of Diana, Princess of Wales, his late mother, in particular during his younger years. And of course, over the years, we have heard consistently about the impact that the media intrusion had on Prince Harry, the media intrusion that he said was carried out into his mother's life, and ultimately, he says, played a part in her death. So really striking that they mentioned Diana, Princess of Wales in there. They also talk about how they apologise for the distress caused the Duke and the damage it inflicted on relationships, friendships and family over the years. And also here, when it comes down to the money, they say they have agreed to pay him substantial damages. Now, what also is really important to point out is throughout this trial, by bringing this to trial, what Prince Harry ultimately wanted to do is to make News Group newspapers also acknowledge that there was some form of cover-up, that senior executives knew what was going on within the newsroom. They knew the illegal, unlawful activities that were being carried out by reporters. That is something that News Group newspapers have never admitted to, and actually they still haven't. But what they have said is it's also acknowledged without any admission of illegality that News Group newspapers' response to the 2006 arrests and subsequent actions were regrettable, which appears to allude to these suggestions that were going to come out through this trial about emails possibly being deleted and hard drives also being done away with as well. So yeah, this is absolutely extraordinary, the fact that the Duke of Sussex today has decided to settle. Also alongside him, it's worth pointing out, was a co-claimant, Lord Watson, the former deputy leader of the Labour Party. He also has received a full and unequivocal apology for the unwanted intrusion carried out into his private life during his time in government by the News of the World. So yeah, there are two apologies here, but of course we have this huge focus. There's always been this huge focus on Prince Harry, who was talked about being one of the last people standing when it came to wanting to hold News Group newspapers to account.
I think it is interesting to think, why was there so much opprobrium against him? Because we know that sort of Harry and Meghan have had a difficult time in the press. Now, I'm not someone who's sort of particularly invested in defending Harry or Meghan, but they did go to war with the tabloids. The tabloids set the news agenda, and I do think we have to ask, why have they been demonised so much? Is it because Harry was especially committed to trying to uncover what the tabloids have been doing?
Teresa in Derbyshire, hi.
Hello, good morning.
What do you think? Should he fight on?
I think he should fight on, but really the real reason that I'm calling is because I think we have the worst example of the press on your programme regularly.
Thank you.
Carol Malone.
You, Teresa.
Well, on what basis do you say that?
I tuned in this morning, and I've always liked, well, I did like your programme, but I tune in fairly regularly to see Carol Malone shouting and talking over people.
What did I get wrong today?
Hate-filled views, hate-filled
What did I get wrong today about Harry? Tell me.
Everything that you say, Carol, I find offensive.
I think
the way
maybe
that
that's
you say
it, Teresa. You
and
didn't.
what that you say offensive.
Yeah, but you come to Carol from a particular point of view, because you say right wing as if that's a bad thing. That's just, you know, Carol wakes up right wing. Yeah.
I wish you did have the money to continue to fight the press, because people don't fight the press in this country. The press
all the time.
are
That's
a
simply
disgrace.
not true.
It is true. It's owned by people with bags and bags of money, spreading their hatred, and you're a prime example of it. You're a prime
get Carol reply.
If anyone is hateful, Teresa, it's you, not me. My views are my views. I'm not trashing your views. I'm asking you to explain to me what I said that was hateful about Harry today. Do you not tell you what I think is hateful? I think it's hateful that Harry criticises the press for an invasion of his privacy and yet has invaded the privacy of his own family to the most disgraceful and disgusting degree. But perhaps you don't think that's the wrong thing. Perhaps you don't think a man like Harry calling his family racist is a bad thing.
Okay.
I do.
Teresa, thank you for your call. Call again.
If you are like me, you were in elementary school when Princess Diana died. But even for those who lived it, it can be easy to forget what came before the tragedy. You look at the articles, and you see how she was treated, and you realized nothing has really changed. Not really. From humanitarian efforts mocked and derided as mere photo ops, to AIDS quitting and the speculation behind it. Truly, so much speculation. Vying for publicity, her motives questioned, her love life feasted on, gasps in horror at her TV appearances, leading her to stand up for herself, but also break at times under the persistence of the media. Every breath, every scrap of rumor, every moment of potential scandal is documented. Whether you agree or not over the comparison of Princess Diana and Megan Markle, there's no denying the similarities in coverage.
I don't know how there could have been such a lack of empathy for him. Yes, he's a royal. Yes, he grew up with privilege. But, you know, just because that happens, it doesn't mean you're not human. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't get a job because you can't get a job in the palace. You had a job you loved in the army. You got slung out of that. He started the Invictus Games. He's such a good person, and it's so nice to hear people say nice things about him, because I don't come across anyone that says anything nice about him. I'm so proud of him. He's so courageous.
Tell me why it is that you feel the way you feel, Shahina, when so many other people have condemned him and taken the razz out of him, and I'm being polite here, you know, said the most dreadful things about him. How come you've managed to have a completely different perspective on this, I wonder?
I don't know, because I can't see any other perspective.
Right.
Hello, my people. Lady Rose here. How y'all doing? All my new subscribers, you're welcome, and my returning subscribers, y'all know I love you. Ha 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 ha! Big news, guys. You watched it everywhere. The news is everywhere. Our prince won over the hate, and baby, I wonder what does Nana Akua, the face, I wonder how her face looks like today. I wonder how Latrine's face is looking today. And the other one with the massive head, Tommy. Oh my goodness, Becky, where you at, Becky? You are next. Next thing you know, Becky, you ain't gonna be sitting down there talking about Prince Harry no more. All of y'all guys with that O'Sullivan little piece of box at that show, they fake talk, the copycat. You know, the people with and we lack of. Let me go by these people first. With the people with the lack of talent, all they do is to copy from others. All they can do the best, it's copy. You know, those people went to colonize the entire world. They went every single corner of the planet. You know what their colonization stood for? They went copycat every single thing that they found in our monarchies. down there in motherland. They copied everything that we had down there. They copy our writings. They copied every single thing that we stood for, our gods and all those stuff. They took all those words and they have in museums right now in Europe. Yeah, they have everything that our ancestors stood for. Everything that our ancestors represented, they copied all those ones. And right now, I'm telling you, this minute, they have them in all those museums. Check those museums in Europe. Yes, go check them. So it's their nature. They can't come up with any ideas on their own. Everything that they have, they've copied. So this little boy, the little box kid on the talk with Kinsey, they came and copied our talk. Y'all know that talk where they have that weird black lady. I don't know what to say about her half time. Yes, she's one of them on the talk, that beautiful black queen. But I be looking at her like a Whoopi Goldberg sometimes. Yeah, I think those two black queens are sometimes anti-black themselves. They have self-hate. Most of the times they don't be looking at themselves. They don't even be looking at how their mamas be looking. They just gonna turn against any black person if they see that black person is in a position of power doing good. They don't like black like excellency. So her show was copied by that little man, O'Sullivan. His name is Kevin or whatever. Yeah, he got some kid's name. So all those people, it's gonna be your turn next. Just wait. Keep playing with Prince Harry. You know, who would know one day this Murdoch people would apologize to Princess Diana in her grave? Nobody. Because guess what? Everything that happened to that woman came from these people. You know? Everything that happened to the queen of people's hearts came from these tabloids. Oh my goodness, I'm in disbelief. I can't believe those people really sat down there and wrote that big letter and wrote apology to that queen. You know? And the next thing, that witch, that one, the mistress, the queen mistress, the queen escort, she need to sit down there and come apologize to that lady also. But I know one day she's going to apologize in her bed, in her deathbed. She will, if she's human. Yeah, but you know, that one also, she was the one leaking all the nonsense about this kid. She was the one writing all the nonsense about the kid going to rehab. You know, every story that came about this prince, our brother-in-law, Prince Harry, came from that mother-in-law coming up with all the nonsense. The mother-in-law came up with a story. I believe I did post this thing for you all guys a long time ago. A woman came to confess that she, no, it was not a woman who came to confess. It was Meredith Constant. Constant or Costas, the one I do use sometimes on here, the queen the white queen who's on TikTok, who also calls these mofos out. Meredith, she wrote some kind of article on Substack, or I watched a video that she made on TikTok. She spoke about all the rehab gate. All the nonsense they started putting around Prince Harry's use of any kind of mess that the Heritage Foundation mess is using against him. All those nonsense started by this witch. That witch performing terrible witchcraft that got her there. But she's never gonna be at peace. Her people came out here, they came and apologized because guess what? They had to do so. You know why they had to do so? Because if they hadn't done that, somebody was gonna blow the cover. Somebody gonna go and swear on that Anglican Bible, baby, and swearing on that Bible was gonna tell the name of all those queens. Not even queen, the escort mistress. Yeah, they were gonna tell her name. Because some people don't like to lie on the Bible. Some of those people are true believers. You don't know European. you don't know those Europeans really well. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you see those Europeans go to church every morning. Yeah, some of them don't. They grew up in good families that doesn't like to lie. You know, one of them dudes, one of them tabloid guy came, like, he said, like, we used that prince in really bad way. I believe I did put the video with these ones here together, but if I did not, I'm gonna look for that video confession that one of the wonderful men came out here with men with integrity who got raised by a good mother. He came out here, he said they actually used Prince Harry and used all terrible information. They collected every single information about everyone that he dated, the STIs, wherever the exes of those girls, the pregnancies, whatever, abortion that was done by those young people. Everything, they collected those people and they spied on them. And guess what? That dude said he was using that white powder from Colombia. You know that the Coca-Cola that people be snorting. So that dude was using that thing. Can you imagine? You have to be on that powder, something that is affecting your central nervous system, to sit down there and talk about Diana's son. I mean, seriously, do you think if someone who is impaired by substances is going to write something relevant, anything? And this guy said he has guilt right now, and he also came out and apologized. I tell you, people, love wins. You know, darkness does not really... Well, what's happening with these people? I mean, really? What's happening? Look at these people. Damn it. I couldn't record that part because these people be driving crazy. Yeah, so people gonna come to confess. Lots of them have been confessing out here. They've been telling on these tabloids. They've been telling on their way, their modus operandi. They've been telling everybody out here what those people were used to do about this kid, and they started doing it in 90s. It's not some new thing. And in 90s, that kid was a kid, you know? I don't know anything that happened. I don't remember in my good mind anything that really happened in those 90s, because I was born in 80s, you know? And so was that guy. You know, by that time, we were children. I mean, just imagine you, that kid, tender age, and you have all these grown people sitting down there coming up with all the bullshit about you. And the person who is paying people to do that is your stepmother. This person who's actually going to become your stepmother. That's terrible. That's terrible. I felt sorry for you, Prince Harry. God bless you. And right now, guess what? You won, brother. And guess what? I heard that money. Yeah, I heard that money was on extra. I'm gonna, I'm making this video before collecting all the other videos that I'm gonna post with these ones here together. So don't think that I'm confused. I no on Coca-Cola. I'm doing good. I'm at my good state of mind. I'm sober. I'm always gonna be sober, but I be just talking. You know, those people got me talking. You know, before I used to talk about some good stuff in my life. I talked to the kid that I was their mentor, and I'll talk sometimes to just people and just be like a good person. But you know what? These people changed me. Yeah, they changed me. You don't be doing lots of stuff to people. You know, when you are messing up with the people with no voice, or you messing up about the people of my race, you know what? I gonna let you just fly by. I'm gonna stand stand up for the sister. Yeah, I'm that kind of auntie. If somebody messing up with my sister, somebody's messing up with my brother, guess what? I take my shoes off. Yeah, I take my socks off too. So let's come and fight. So that's me. So that's why I'm right here. And then I'll be talking about all those crazy stuff. But you know, in real life, that ain't no my personality. Nobody, like I told you, if somebody messing up with you, yeah, my queens, yeah, if everybody messing up with you, just call me. Yeah, you know, I show up for you. I show up for you. And I show up in real bad way. I tell you, I take my shoes off, I take my socks off, and nobody ain't gonna be messing up with you no more. So that's why I'm right here talking about all this stuff. So I tell you, oh my goodness, I'm waiting for the Duchess of Sussex to come out here and write some 2 words on our Instagram about this huge victory. Sister, you need to show up. You need to show up and tell them tabloids you know who you married and you know who you are married to. And that's the really definition of man. That ain't no WikiLeaks. That ain't no weak man that you got married to. You got married to a soldier, sister. And God bless you, Prince Harry. Get that money. Yeah, I heard the money is like 12 million. You know, 12 million ain't no bad money. And, you know, Archewell Foundation needs some money too. You know, and the Archewell Foundation was helping the people of California. Yes, it was helping people in that Palisade area. So, well, that's a blessing. Right now here, the brother got extra 12 million. Man, baby, you know, he played right. He said he was going to fight for the people. He said he was going to fight for his mother. And guess what? He succeeded. He succeeded. It's a victory for them. So we're waiting for the statement from the Duchess. Anytime I'm going to see the post, the statement from her, and I'm sure the sister's going to come out and say 2 words. And she says they're really good. And I'm gonna post it for y'all guys. It's a victory. You know, I'm so happy that I can't even talk. And most importantly, the apology to Princess Diana really shook me. I'm telling you, I ain't got no lots of words to say. Guys, please share my videos and also subscribe to all the success-friendly channels. And remember, I pleaded y'all guys to go to my brother Baron's channel, the Royal Success. Let's go get the brother to 100,000 subscribers. And also, do not forget to go to my sister Elizabeth. Saying I keep calling Wheezy Elizabeth Banks, but she is Isabella Banks. So let's go to Isabella Banks and subscribe and also share her videos, and so we could get her to those 10,000 subscribers. You know, that one is also super easy that we could also do in a week. And my brother Baron, we could get him to 100,000 subscribers for that silver plate, like in approximately 30 days if we want to. And God bless y'all. Keep praying for the successes. That's what my queen here is, cookies and cream. All cookies and cream always says that. Please pray for the success. You know, yeah, pray for them. So let's pray for them. You know, this victory. Let's celebrate it all together, and let's see where the tabloids are gonna go from now, and let's see what they're gonna keep saying out there. And they need to watch out, because this prince is playing with them rotten little untalented selves and stupid, low IQ, low self-esteem selves. All right, people. I'll talk to y'all guys in a few more days. Bye for now.